Good evening. Welcome to the February 21st, 2024 Abington Finance Committee meeting. We are continuing our work preparing for the fiscal year 25 budget, continuing our meetings with departments. Today we have the DPW with us with their budget presentation. After that we'll have a more general discussion on the status of the budget, where it stands. Had that we would review and vote on available minutes. We don't have any this week, but we are hopeful that we will have some soon. And then liaison reports, correspondence, and discussion of our upcoming meetings. So we have John Stone with us, the head of the DPW. John, you want to
Yes.
walk through?
First, I was just going to give you guys a rundown of what we have going on, past, future, and now. If you want me to move?
No, you're good.
All right. We created this just so you guys would have an update. And the fine people behind me really created it. We just added input. Let's see. Intersections. These are what we have going on in the various intersections throughout town. Some of the dangerous ones. Let's see. Yeah, two of these three are top three in the town for most dangerous. The intersection of Old Randolph, which is 139, and Chestnut is the most dangerous intersection in town. And the intersection of Hancock and Chestnut is the third most dangerous in town. I gave you guys a handout, and you'll see a list of all our intersections ranked. Here it is. Here's the list right there. As you'll see, Randolph and Chestnut and Old Randolph was number 1. Hancock and Chestnut is number 3. Number 2 is Bedford Street and Brockton Ave. I think the state's looking into doing something with that because we can't because it's a state road. And we took care of that one way down there, Old Randolph and Pickett Street. We're working on some other ones as well. Hancock and Chestnut Street, we're almost at 75% design. Slated to begin construction is slated to begin federal year 2026, which is October 2026. It's a grant through the state's transportation improvement program, so it's federally funded and state funded. And the design team calls for a roundabout. And you'll see a picture of it right here. This is what the intersection of Chestnut and Hancock is going to look like in about 4 years.
The cost to us, John, for that?
Just design. We paid for it we funded it through Chapter 90, so it didn't really cost you anything. Washington Street sidewalk reconstruction. Let's see. We received a grant for about $500,000. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. To create concrete sidewalks with granite curbing down Washington Street. They were decrepit before. They were non-ADA compliant. Now we have ADA compliant sidewalks on Washington Street, which is a heavy route for not only kids going to school. You'll see a lot of people jogging, riding their bikes, walking. So that was a grant through the Complete Streets program, second round of grants through that program. We have applied for a grant for the Washington Street at Adams and Shaw Ave intersection. Those of you that know it, it's very dangerous. Here it is right here. It's kind of near Quailey's.
Yeah.
It's a tough intersection.
It's a weird intersection.
It's a weird intersection. So we applied for a grant through the state's shared streets and spaces.
It's the point of the Kendra Coburn Park.
Yes, exactly. So we've applied for a grant. I was hoping to hear about it by now, but we haven't heard yet. Hopefully soon. Hopefully we get the grant and we can make geometric realignment of the intersection to reduce crashes and pedestrians are safer. Yeah, here it is again. This is a picture, a ground level picture of the intersection itself.
That fence has been gone through.
Oh, so many. We've replaced it probably 8 times. There's another picture of it. There's another picture of it. As you can see, that truck waiting there, if you're staying left on Washington Street, you're running the risk of running into that guy. He might not know the intersection. He might be new to the area. So I think we gotta do
And
a,
there's like a weird, if you're coming from Queeley's, you can turn.
absolutely,
People think that they have to go right to go
Absolutely.
left. And then
absolutely.
you've got somebody at the stop to go, and that person's also going.
So we're hoping we get the grant and we can get going on that and make that a safer intersection all the way around.
Do you have an idea of what we would do with it?
Yes, we definitely do.
Okay,
I wish I brought it with me,
that's okay.
but I can send it to you guys. It wouldn't be like it wouldn't be a set of lights or anything like that. It would be like more like a if you coming from Quailey's towards Washington, you'd have to bear right instead of like where that truck was. Instead of going there, you'd have to bear right. So everyone would go one way and then have to take a left or go straight. So it would make it safer. Hopefully we get the grant. And this is, oh yeah. It's another picture of it. This is the intersection of 139 and Chestnut. I probably should have had this before the other one. I alluded to it earlier. This is the most dangerous intersection in town. Here we're looking at putting in a set of traffic lights. This will be no cost to the town. It's funded through the state's TIP program, federally funded and state funded. The town did approve design for the intersection a couple of years back, so we're paying for the design, $500,000. But it's probably by the time it's all said and done, it'll be over a $4 million grant we get. The state recommended the town do something about the intersection back in 1998. So we're finally taking
right on top of it.
We've been on it for a couple of years now, but this process it takes a long time.
Yeah.
John, just because I've heard it asked or seen it asked, who decides the design of the intersection?
You mean as it like traffic lights or roundabouts and
Right,
things like that?
and
The state.
how it's going, and then you just have to follow.
Exactly.
It's not
There's
something that's
warrants.
up to you.
It's up to the state. It's called the MUTCD book. It's a code. It's a book.
Mm-hmm.
It has to meet all these warrants, and that'll tell you whether you can get a traffic light or a roundabout. We can't just go do whatever
And
we
they
want.
decide the design.
And they decide the design. Yes. This meets the warrant for traffic lights. Hancock at Chestnut did not meet the warrants for a traffic light. That's why we're going with a roundabout. And we're shaving down the hill to make it less dangerous and
Right.
slippery in the winter and that type of thing. Those of you who have driven it know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
It's very dangerous. Chris lives right there. He knows all about it.
And it's not my fault it's changed.
No, I know that. But this particular intersection here meets the warrants for a traffic light, so we're gonna this is only a 25% design. So we're gonna traffic lights and geometric improvements, so it's better vision.
I was going to say
And
vision is tough at that spot.
it's very bad.
So
And
that's-
pedestrian accommodations, bicycle accommodations. With any state grant, you got to accommodate bicycles somehow, some way.
And the school's right down there.
The school's
so
right
you
down
need to-
there. Yep. So we're working on that.
School, the field.
The school, the ball field, yeah. This particular project probably wouldn't get going until federally at 2028, which would be October of 2028. So we'll be moving along for the next couple of years at these two bad intersections. Old Randolph and Thicket, this was on the list of bad intersections. It wasn't at the top, it was down near the bottom, but we got a grant for this one and the amount of around 200,000. I don't know if you guys have driven down it, it's a vast improvement to what it was.
Yeah.
We have people going down the one way,
Coming out on
Cut-
139
exactly.
at that other bad intersection.
coming out there. Yes, so this is stopped that. It was free to the town.
It's
And
definitely improved over what it was.
it's a definite improvement.
I still think if that was a two-way street, it would take a lot of the traffic off of the Chestnut and 139
I was just gonna say the
intersection,
same
which would have made it a lot safer.
Make that a two-way street?
Yeah, if it was a two-way street,
If
the
Old
other
Randolph, there
intersection
was-
is bad,
Yeah,
less traffic.
yeah.
yeah, because if you're going up Hancock and you want to keep going up to Thicket, you have to go out and around, or no, the other way. If you're coming
Yes.
down Thicket, you have to go.
I think at
over
one
to
point in
Chestnut.
time,
You have to
it
go
was
over to
2
Chestnut.
ways.
And
That's
it
why
was
it was so
definitely
wide.
wide enough. It's been one way the entire time I've lived.
Same
here.
here.
I'm
I
pretty sure that
assume
it was
I assume
two-way
it's
I think it
growing
was
up,
2-way
and
at one point.
I
Don't
assume
ever remember
residents
there being a
probably
one-way
complained
there.
Exactly.
and got it changed to one way.
And that's why people were driving down the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
it was
tight-
hard to tell before that it was one way if you didn't know that it was one way.
we had to tighten up the intersection. That's what we did
It's much better tightened up.
to avoid collisions and things of that nature. And we put up a couple signs, and that was free to the town. Let's see. Traffic light upgrades, 123 and 58. We're going to be upgrading the traffic lights there. You'll see some work progressing there and during the upcoming months. That was approved by the town as part of the capital plan 2 years ago. No, a year ago.
For
Excuse
the
me.
Dairy Queen
Exactly.
intersection.
Exactly. All the components are old, outdated. Like anything else, you gotta at a certain point, you gotta get new components. We're gonna be painting them. It's gonna look better.
Question
Sure.
on, because you were mentioning with the 139 Chestnut Street intersection
Yep.
that it wouldn't be a cost to the town. Wiring electricity charge for.
You're right there, Matt.
in
That's a good point.
perpetuity.
That's a good point.
That I assume is something the town
Yes.
pays for.
We
but
would have to pay
Not
the
that,
electricity.
not that each individual intersection is a lot of electricity,
No, you're right.
but still.
You're right. No, you're right. I should have said construction won't cost anything to the
Yeah.
town, but it's still a vast improvement.
Yeah.
Let's see. So that'll be coming up soon. What else we have? Bridges. Central Street Bridge. We rehabbed that last summer. It took a lot longer than we thought it would. 40 days of rain during the summer and in the spring. It came out really nice. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to drive by.
Very
But
nice.
all I know is you're not gonna.
Glad it's open again. It looks good.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much
Feels safe.
you needed that street.
Exactly. No, people don't realize that.
Yeah.
That's just the walking the sidewalk there is much
Yeah.
safer.
Where is
for-
it?
This is on near the
right
police
by the
station.
police station.
Oh,
Our building, our highway building. So we did that. Here's the old picture is at top left. That is the first beam we took out
Yeah.
back in April or May.
looks
It was a lot worse than we thought. So it wasn't going to last much longer.
Well, it wasn't rated a 2.
It was rated a 2,
So,
but that wasn't going to last much longer. I know it was an inconvenience to a lot of people, but that thing was going to cave in at some point.
Would
So
have been much more inconvenient to
If it
have
had-
cars
Exactly,
falling into
yes.
the.
yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Yep.
And below is the new bridge. And Jeannie took these nice pictures here. Well, the one on the right anyway. That's the new bridge.
How was it identified?
What's that?
How was the issue identified? Was it
The
just-
state
inspection.
The state inspects all bridges in Massachusetts, whether they're in the towns or the cities. They're in
just
charge.
a normal inspection?
Yep.
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah, like 10 years ago, right? See, like that's their inspection report right there on the right.
Oh.
It's in your packet if you ever want to take a look at it.
Yeah.
John, do we have the list of all of the bridges? I know you've given that to us in the past.
I don't have it today, Matt.
That's okay.
I'll remember it next time. Okay.
No, that's okay.
But we did get.
I
Let's
was
see.
just gonna say Daniel could look at it and see what the rest of the bridges in town came in at.
Yeah, definitely. But we got a grant for this bridge. This is the Center Ave Bridge.
Oh,
Okay.
my Spencer's Pizza.
Yes, exactly. We received a grant for $100,000 for design. So then we designed it and we applied for construction and we got a $350,000 grant for construction. It won't be as labor intense as the Central Street Bridge. It's more rehab, fixing of walls and things like that. We don't have to replace the beams and
That helps.
we won't have to close the road.
We
But
won't have to close
No.
the road.
might one lane at certain
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
but we don't want to have to shut it down.
Yeah.
This was no cost of the town. This was funded through the state Small Bridge Municipal Program. Municipal Small Bridge Program. The Central Street Bridge didn't meet the criteria for that program, so, but this one does. So. Let's see. And here's the report for the Center Ave Bridge. There's some cracks. I'm gonna repair all the cracks. There's the report. I think this was given a grade of 3 or 4. Can't remember off the top of my head. It's in there though. It's in your packet.
And there's like a grate there, isn't what?
Yeah,
Where the water flows down.
Yes, exactly.
Down towards the other side.
and there's the other side right
Oh,
there.
okay, yeah.
So we'll be doing that coming up. Bid opening is scheduled for April or May, somewhere around there.
Still
Then-
keeping the fencing and everything there though.
Yeah, the grant covers construction and rehab. Anything else would have to come out of the town. I know.
We're gonna actually look into funding to replace the fence with something that's a lot more aesthetically pleasing.
That would be,
Kind of give that a nice
that would be nice,
sort of
because it is a
entrance
really
area
nice
to
view
the
onto
downtown
Island Grove
and stuff.
Yeah.
stuff,
Well, the
so.
kids used to jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be climbable, so it'll be easier for them to jump over, give them more height.
Well, if we get another 40 days of rain in the summer.
They won't need to
Why
climb
not?
anything.
This summer we'll be rehabbing the Walnut Street pump station. We have 13 pump stations, sewer pump stations in town, and that's one of the older, more heavily used pump stations. It's approaching 35 years old. So over the next, I don't know, every couple of years, we're gonna try to rehab one particular station. So that'll be going on. You'll see a lot of activity on Walnut Street near the pump station. I'm sure you've driven by it. We actually had the bid opening 2 days ago. That's just, it's in your packets if you want to check it out. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with all this. And roads. We'd like to do Hershey Lane this year, Washington Street sidewalk, and the town hall parking lot. But not likely, right?
Not looking good.
Not looking good.
I like the meme though.
Well, a better idea.
That's why we put question marks next to everything.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Let's see. Snow and ice. Here's where we stand, snow and ice. These are all the storms we've got to the right. I know it's not a lot, but we actually have been out a few times. Cost of salt this year is down $61.68 a ton. That's down about $7 from last year. And those are all the events we've had. To the bottom left, the amount, and the top left is what we've spent so far.
And this is a question more for
Sure.
Andrew and Scott. 186,000 under. That will get covered at the end of the year by some maneuvering of taking from this I'm gonna call it a surplus fund. I know that's not what it's called, but it'll get taken from somewhere and transferred to that so that one balances.
And if not, then it would be next year's free cash.
Right.
Yeah, it is snow and ice. What we go over, we typically pay in a warrant article in the special town meeting,
Which is no longer done as a special.
which we're no longer doing as a special town meeting.
We have split it too.
But it's-
Other
yeah.
years when it's
Yeah.
been
Yeah,
exceptionally
when-
difficult.
Was
We're
it 15?
paid
15,
half
and
that.
I think 2 years after that we did it
The
again.
terrible,
Yeah.
like the Snowmageddon winter where.
But I think winter's
spread it
almost over, so
Let's
that's,
spread it over a few years, but
My question is, should we make any
Adjustments to that.
adjustment for the 25 budget to recognize that we're gonna pay at least 186,000 for fiscal year 24?
Andrew and I talk about it all the time, and I know we probably have the discussion
We've-
of bumping it up, and I think it probably won't be this year that we do it. We would like to bump that account up a little more, but it's, it's just very tight this year.
Even if I know the reasons why you don't put it in there, because if you put it in there, you can't spend it somewhere else. But is there a way to put it into a
Oh, I see what you're saying.
reserve fund, knowing that we're gonna have to tap it? Whether it's the finance committee reserve fund or,
Probably, but I do prefer the idea of actually funding it.
Okay.
And I think the auditors do.
yeah,
too.
no, I do too, but I know that they.
Because we're never gonna spend, I mean, if we get away with, 300,000 this year, whatever. I mean, we're never gonna spend less than that, because we're gonna,
Yeah.
we may not get as much snow, but we'll get as much ice.
Yeah.
That's not gonna go away.
There's always the need for.
What was the, what did we set it for?
We're
It's been
always-
100,000
it's always- it's been at
100,000 for at
100
least
for a
10
long-
years now.
For a long time.
Yeah.
I think the whole time.
Chris raises a
Well,
good point that at some
Previously was
point in time,
50,000.
you might want to raise it. I don't know.
I think right
75
around,
maybe.
I think right around when I joined, it was changed from 50 to 100, and that's over 10 years ago at this, or
And
around,
we've never spent
around 10 years
less
ago.
than
at this point.
100,000.
No.
We never will spend
No,
less than
and-
100,000.
And if we
And so
are,
that was the
Or
time.
really wrong.
150,000.
We have more roads now. We
Right.
have wide roads.
When was
We
the
have-
last time, John, that we spent even close to 100, like 150,000?
I wish we could get rid of that 8 down there. Andrew, is there any way to get rid
So
of
that's
that?
the total salt used. I'm looking at the actual.
try the bus.
Try the X.
It is touchscreen.
And now
Was
John
there
again.
Andrew. Alright, whatever.
Can you?
look in your package.
Yeah, that's the tons of salt used behind that. John. So John.
Yes, that's the ton salt
Yeah.
used. Last year we used a lot of salt. We didn't get a lot of snow, but we were out. We had about 20 salt events last year.
So we
Yeah.
should be at least
Which is the
budgeting
reason we
for
spent more
a
last year.
reasonable
Yeah.
amount for
Even
the
though we
salt.
We
Basically
didn't.
no
We didn't plow
salt.
once.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have, again, we've had the conversation every year that
You know,
I've
it's
been
easy
here.
to say that now, and
To
then when
bump it
we're
up.
in a $2 million deficit
I
and we're
think what-
looking
I
for
think-
money, we're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, we're gonna have
But-
the deficit spend in the snow
But-
because otherwise
Because we're allowed
we're
to.
cutting a body.
Right. Otherwise,
But that's exactly why I think it needs to be put up. So we don't spend it on something that is permanent that we can't afford. But, in my opinion.
Yep.
Alright. Any questions on snow? We good?
We're good to move on.
I think it's over. But we'll see.
You said that twice.
Here's our fleet list. Thanks to you all. We're getting better with our fleet. Our fleet's getting newer, updated. So we're really happy with what we have. We do need a new front end loader at some point.
it's on.
It's on the capital.
Yep.
It's on the capital plan for this year. It is 25 years old, so it's officially an antique, and our other one is 20. So
Do we sell naming rights for our trucks?
I see that all the time
Is that a
too, for the plows.
Yeah.
yeah,
They
So
have-
naming rights, like being sold, I don't know if that's a thing, but
Yeah.
I have seen lists of municipalities that name their DPW vehicles, and there are some
They have a contest with
very,
the kids in
very
town. that-
humorous and some very sketchy ones.
I'm thinking JP Morgan or.
Yeah.
Oh,
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 I,
all right.
Advertising.
I think
Why not?
advertising.
maybe a better
Greg
call
will
Saul.
back
Yeah.
up, and Scott has heard me say this before, but I think naming rights is something we should tap into far more frequently as the town.
I think the whole town should be named rights.
I don't know about the whole
The
town.
Gel and Jetville?
I don't know if we're
Jelly.
going to, but you could put a label on any of one of these buildings. I think it would look great.
definitely.
That's not
You guys can you guys have the ability to put a warrant article
Fields
forward,
Can
so you can.
as
as a
citizen-
group, as
as
a
a group,
finance committee.
or as a resident, you can put a warrant article.
The resident time is gone.
I thought I remember asking about this, and they said that they can't do that. Not about like the building and stuff, but like if we were to put, like, just sell names on things. It was like 2 or 3 years ago.
No,
Could've been
what he's
Rick.
saying is you have the right to put an article in the warrant to do just that and see if you can get it to pass at town meeting.
All right.
I think the time that you asked about it was when we were redoing the drive-through out here.
Yeah. It's the
Which I
best
thought
place.
made a lot of
People
sense.
have to stop right there.
Yeah,
The Dunkin' Donuts Abington.
I don't know, it's
Town Hall
something
drive-through.
right.
it's not a bad idea. This is a list of trees we've removed we removed in 2023. Let's see. So that's that. Here's our sewer rate survey that we try to provide you every year. Just shows where Abington stands among participating communities in the survey. We're number 46. So we're looking pretty good there in that department. It's in your handouts if you want to look at it further.
How does it go, like 1 through, so
So
what
no-
does that mean if,
It's
when you're
based
calling
on-
number 46?
It's based on 90,000 gallons per year. The price in Abington is $740 to use 90,000 gallons a year. And the higher it,
The lower,
Compared to-
the lower you are
compared to
on the
90,000
list,
gallons
the
a
less it
year
costs.
in a different town. So I just like to update you.
Yep,
where
so
we
the further
stand.
down the list you are,
The better.
The better, the
Yes.
the less, the,
Less
Yes,
expensive.
Less
we
expensive.
live within our means.
yes.
That's a catch basin. This is part of our job as well. It's the stormwater permit. It's in your packets if you guys want to take a look at it. I'm not going to sit there and bore you with the particulars. But we will be putting a best management practice rain garden out here at Town Hall this year. It's part of what you have to do for the permit.
It's an educational.
It's an education. It has to have an educational component to it.
All the Boy Scouts can come by, take a look at
Yeah.
it. It's actually gonna be.
And we're gonna put up a kiosk, right? Kiosk, whatever.
Be a great Eagle Scout program, if there are any Eagle Scouts out there listening.
And this is we did a survey survey was done last year about DPW workforces in other communities compared to us. Here's what we have. This is office and field employees. We're at 16. This is just a list of some other towns and what they have. And this is a list based on per 5,000 people in town. Where if the A was moved, you'll see it in your list. We're down to, what's our number?
4.6.
4.6.
That is the bottom of the list we don't want to be.
We don't want to be on the bottom of that list.
Right.
We're at the point now where if someone else wants something else done that we normally don't do, something else can't get done. We're taking something off the list or we're paying overtime. So in this budget, we've asked for 4 people. I know it's not looking good, but it's our job to, to let you guys know what we think we
Yeah.
need, to define what we need. And we need 4 more people, and that would bring us up the list a little bit further. So, and that's about it.
Well, then,
That would be nice.
thank you.
Thank you. Jeannie and Kelly, my fine,
Yep.
the fine people I get to work with every day,
Nice job.
really did that. We all work on things together. And as far as the budget goes, we have 3 different budgets. We have the highway budget, we have the sewer budget, we have the park and rec budget. So I was gonna start off with the highway budget.
John, do you want to just give a super high view over?
That's exactly what I was
overview
gonna
of
do,
Of
Matt.
what highway does.
Oh, sure.
Just
We have
just
16
quick-
people.
Quick overview for people
We do-
listening and stuff. So
Everything. We're a park, we're sewer, we're highway, we do, we mow, we take care of the public grounds, the ball fields, the roads, the potholes, the trees, stormwater, the sewer system, snow and ice. Vehicle maintenance is 160 town-owned pieces of equipment that we maintain.
Not just your department.
Not just our
but fire
department, police,
police.
fire, school, anyone, people at town hall have cars now, we take care of them, senior center, we take care of all the vehicles, we could use another mechanic someday, so that's what we do, strike roads, the list goes on and on, anything anyone needs done, they come to us.
How many mechanics do you have?
2, so we have 3 office staff, 2 vehicle maintenance staff, 3 sewer department staff, and everyone else is highway and park. The summer, most of our time is consumed with mowing. Like last summer, it rained so much that's all we did was mow. We didn't have time to do anything else. We have a list. Residents call and ask for, have requests, obviously, and they go on a list. And we have things on the list that have been on the list for 2 years. And it's really not fair to the taxpayers. Taxpayers pay a lot of money. You know, they should be able to get a better service than that, and that's why we're asking for 4 more people. Because all we did last summer was mow grass.
When was the last time that we increased laborers?
I wanted 1 last year, but you gave it to the Board of Health. Someone gave it to the Board of Health. I don't know who.
But when was the
Was
last
me.
time that there was?
Oh, was it you?
Boy, it was not me.
We could use that guy.
When
I
was
think
the
it was-
last time that the
We might have got one person in the field a couple of years back. I don't know off the top of my head, Barbara. I'd have to go back and look.
I was gonna say, I think
I just don't
2-3 years ago,
2-3 years,
somewhere
yeah.
around there, we had.
Do you guys, on that list of requests, do you keep a request of what's asked for the most? Not a specific house or a specific area, but like cutting down a tree or, you know, what
Yeah, it's
what are the
mostly
biggest?
potholes, complaints about roads, which is understandable. You know, we need more money for roads. The Chapter 90 is not enough. We get $390,000 a year through Chapter 90. It's been that way that hasn't increased in years. I know they've supplemented it at times, but
discussion we had last year
yeah,
about other towns?
It was a couple of years ago, actually, we had talked about that other towns do supplement it, and we did put a lot of money into it. The year after that, we borrowed for it, and then last year, we tried to leverage ARPA funds to do a lot of it. I think we're trying to do that again with the remaining ARPA funds, but yeah, we're running out of options. We obviously can't borrow for it.
It should be,
anymore.
this is one of the things we discussed, that it should be in the budget every year.
absolutely,
Like $500,000 in the budget.
absolutely. Other towns do it that way.
Yeah.
Something to at
Well,
least
whatever number.
match and or, yeah,
Absolutely.
supplement Chapter 90 because it's just not enough.
Yeah.
We will never catch up to what we need with $390,000 a year, given the price of oil and everything that keeps rising. We will
What's-
never.
Sorry, what's that cover, like the 400K?
That will cover like an ordinary road.
Yeah, you gave an example of a street
normal
that it
size
could-
road.
Yeah. You
Certain
usually
section
get
of Hancock Street.
a certain
you said.
section of Hancock
Yeah.
Street, maybe a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, depending on how wide the road is. It's a good question though. I could get a better breakdown for you at some point.
And it fluctuates, so it's like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah,
it's-
definitely.
If your gas
Fall.
prices are going up,
Oil prices are,
everything's going up.
so we're never gonna get ahead with $390,000 a year. As Greg pointed out, it should, at some point, it needs to be a budget item. At some point, other towns do it that way.
What year is that?
2030?
2030.
2030, all right,
That's our goal.
we'll be getting a lot of calls.
Yeah, well, I mean, not that we're not going to supplement it in the interim. I think we will find ways to use free cash to supplement it, but some years will be better than others. But certainly by then, we can have it as a dedicated amount that will be into the budget.
What do we left in ARPA?
Nothing, it's pretty much, we have a couple $100,000 in there.
There's a little bit more in the Plymouth County allocation, but those rules are a lot stricter than the other allocation.
But whatever we do have in there, we've put quite a bit towards the water. Also, the water department in the PFAS remediation and trying to make sure that we're not only ahead of it, but that we're keeping up with it. So, Crystal can speak more to that at any point in time, but there's just the filter materials that have to be
But do we have
replaced in
plans
each
for the
house.
other couple 100,000?
Yeah, it's all spoken for. We're, as we get into the capital and once we have a better handle on free cash, we can look and see, because he does have a list of projects that he'd like to do this year, so hopefully we can check some of them off.
Yeah, we've gotten every grant we could, every single one, as you can see.
Which was, I didn't add it all up, but you had at least $3 or $4 million in grants there.
It's over 10. All right, so highway, the only changes to the,
You said $10 million in grants?
yeah, if you add up the two
All of them?
intersections.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh, wow.
over 10. If you add up the two intersections, the bridge, Center Ave Bridge, the Washington Street intersection, the complete streets, sidewalk.
John, you use a grant writer?
No, we do it ourselves. Me and the fine people behind me. We do it ourselves, and we're successful.
Very,
Very
very successful.
Yeah. But as Greg alluded to, I think at some point the discussion needs to be had that infrastructure, more particularly roads, need to be part of the budget, bigger picture, needs to be part of the budget at some point in time, because that's what people care about. People care about their roads. People care about the infrastructure, bridges, most importantly the roads. And we're never going to catch up. Every town's like in a similar situation, that those that don't fund roads, but at some point in the
Towns
discussion,
around us that you do know fund?
what's that?
What are the towns around us that you do know that fund?
Almost everyone. I think almost every one supplements their Chapter 90 somehow, some way, either through capital plan or part of a budget process. Every other town does, because we have 225 roads. We have 70 miles of roads. 390,000 might cover 3/4 of a mile. I'm not sure. It depends on. It's a good question. I should know the answer to that. I'll have it going forward, but it's a good question. But the discussion needs to be had at some point in time. All right. Highway Department. The only changes are, as I alluded to earlier, I've added 2 new positions to the highway budget, and I've added 2 positions to the park and rec budget. It doesn't really matter where it comes from. They're all going to be doing the same work. 2 guys will be more dedicated to mowing and park work. These 2 guys will be dedicated to more highway work, but they're all interchangeable. That's what we're working towards. Cross-training everybody. It's better for the community if more people know how to do different things. And the only other increases in highway, we increased the trees line item from 28 to 40,000. The rest of the increases were contractual obligations and COLAs and things of that nature.
Yeah, one question
Sure.
on the fuel, highway fuel.
Highway fuel and
Well,
road.
it was a big increase last year's budget, which I understand because we didn't know oil was gonna go down in price.
Yes.
So, but it has gone down in price. But I'm wondering what you have spent in '24, and if you think you're gonna spend less than the 225, and given the current oil prices or gas prices, is 225 too high?
So year to date, we've spent about 90K in fuel. Annualized, it's about 140K-ish.
Yeah.
So if oil prices stay low, we can reduce that.
It's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Really good question.
Okay. I know, I was just listening today, it's supposed to stay low for a while, but 2025, it's supposed to go up again.
Hopefully it stays low. Hopefully it stays low.
Yeah.
Right, where's it going up again?
Post-election.
The oil companies are saying that they're running out of,
Depends on who wins.
some of the oil fields that
Drying
they're
up.
tapping are,
Who's running, who's winning, who wins.
I don't know,
That's what
oil
makes those
companies
prices
saying.
go up and down.
Next, we have the sewer department budget. For those of you who don't know, the sewer department has an enterprise fund, and we are self-funded. So we pay for our own electricity and all that stuff. It's funded through the sewer rates. I showed you the sewer rates already. So increases in sewer this year, we increased the electricity just due to rising costs. Other than that, all other increases were contractual obligations and COLAs. So I don't know if you want me to run through every line item. It's up to you guys, whatever you want.
If we needed to, could we raise the sewer rates?
Raise the sewer rates?
Yeah, is it something we could do just because we want?
Yes, we have a board of sewer commissioners that would be able to do that.
That's what they do?
That's what they do.
Okay.
And we haven't had a sewer rate increase since 2008. We're doing pretty good. Like I said earlier, we live within our means. We did have that one increase to the basic charge to cover the cost of the force main. Other than that, we haven't had an increase since 2008. But
That's
it
not
isn't.
general fund money.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
I should have been clear, thanks.
And the usage is tied to water usage, right?
Correct. if someone could invent a sewer meter, they'd be rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You get your bill and you charge for sewer what you put out for water.
What's the
It's not-
percentage? It's not 100%.
100.
It's 100%?
Yes.
Don't some towns, like, for outside usage, you can have a separate meter, so.
You can go
fill up
pick them
pool
up
or
from
something.
You can do that.
You can just pick them up, right? But can you have a permanent one?
Yes.
You can.
Yes. So
But yeah, when there's a water ban, you can't get an abatement.
when there's a water ban, when you're not supposed to water the grass, we don't give abatement.
And last I heard, we're in
There's always a
perpetual-
water ban.
Yeah, we're in a perpetual water
Why is
ban.
there always a water? This last
Never,
summer,
ever,
40 days of rain, we got a
I
water
was
ban.
told.
Not my department, sir.
They just did change it from step 3 to step 2.
Yeah, they've gone down.
They did
Yeah.
just lower it a little bit.
Yeah, they did.
That comes down from the state, though.
Yeah.
It's not arbitrary.
Different, different towns handle it different ways.
Yeah.
The town next to where I grew up, they had a big sign that they put up on the fence of the tennis courts in the downtown, like the public park and courts and stuff. It said water ban. That sign went up around April of every year and came down around October of every
No matter
year.
what.
Didn't matter what happened, the winter,
matter.
the summer, that sign was up every single year.
No kidding.
We have had years, I do remember, where they drove around and was specifically looking for,
People
to
watering.
find, you know, if you were watering your grass or without a well.
And finally, we have the park and rec budget. Same budget as last year, except for we asked for 2 more field people out in the field, laborers. We need more boots on the ground. So it's our job to define what we need, and that's what we need. We need more boots on the ground, as the spreadsheet earlier shows you.
On Parks and Rec, you got a revenue account. Where's the, like, for Beaver Brook or any of those activities?
I'm gonna let our park and rec director answer that. Rec director answer that.
So part of, we have a revolving account, which is all of the program fees. In the revolving account, technically is supposed to be invested right back into the programs for things that support the programs. So what you see on the budget is general fund that helps support other aspects of Park and Rec, not related to the programs directly.
So, is there a breakdown of how much you take in for those, like Beaver Brook and all those activities?
So
Or
I-
Beaver, sorry.
I would say between like, Eager Beaver, the pool and other specialty camps, probably about 250,000 a year. And we usually spend 195,000 of that. And then the camp has increased so much in how many kids are coming. So we're trying to raise some rates on that. We've been trying, like, we're gonna be reading
wanna-
the Snack Shack, which will
Sorry,
partially come out of revolving and that kind of
I was gonna say, Kelly, did you want to
Exactly.
come to the mic?
stuff. Sorry,
Not
Or
sure.
pass Kelly a mic.
Yeah.
we'll keep on over.
Do you have more?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Can take Greg's.
That's all I have. Any questions? So our biggest needs are manpower and infrastructure.
And the I don't have, the roads that you wanted to do that were part of the capital.
Washington Street sidewalk, and Town Hall parking lot
For the capital plan.
for the capital plan, and a new front end loader. If
That's
not,
what
it
I
can
was
wait
gonna
till next
say,
year.
Do you warrant articles?
We have the capital plan. Did we bring the
and
capital plan?
capital?
It's in my folder. Do they have it? It's in the packet.
And right now, in his capital, what we have held, and of course,
I'm gonna
we
leave
don't
it
have
there.
all our free cash numbers yet anyway, but we do have the front end loader at 290 in there, and then some asset tracking software we left in there.
Yeah, we need it.
Road striping machine, an auger.
Yep.
Out of the 3 roads or whatever you just mentioned, what's the worst? Washington Street, whatever.
Washington Street, Greg.
Yeah.
I would say Washington
Is
Street.
that like a long, I'm so bad with direction. Is that a long street?
Yeah,
Washington Street is like Frollo.
yeah,
Okay.
Frollo.
But you're saying that
Abington, Lickers.
entire street?
Yeah. No, what we did from Route 18 to 123. We did through Chapter 90. We did from Adams to 18 on the other end through Chapter 90, and we did Upper Washington near Strawberry Valley through Chapter 90. We need to do the middle. Where we have the
The
parade,
church.
where the parade is, the church, Abington
Like
Lickers,
from-
Old Santander Bank. Well, we did that part, but further down, going further down. The sidewalks need to be done. We got a grant for a portion of the sidewalks, but the rest of the sidewalks need work. So, like I said, it's our job to define what we need, and I think that's what we need at this point in time.
If any of these things that you have a grant for, right, and it's part of something that needs to be also done further, wouldn't we be able to negotiate a better deal? If we were doing a half
Grants.
mile and the grant was covering it, but then we needed
Yeah,
another half mile
so
after that?
Most of the
limit was 500,000.
No, I'm not talking about on the grant. I'm talking about just to
Oh, we
negotiate
could do
the
that.
price.
We could do that, definitely.
If we had the money.
Yeah, if we have-
Yes,
we need the money. No,
I get that, but my point is,
We've talked about it.
not
yeah.
to say wait to do a project, but like if we know this part of the street's gonna get done and then this part's not,
Definitely.
to maybe wait, I don't know if you can with the grant, I have no, again, no idea. But to try to lump them all together to get again, usually a better price to do a bigger chunk of business. Again, maybe that's not the way this stuff works. I don't know.
No, we could do that. In certain instances, we
Thank
could
you.
definitely do that.
So you're looking for about $200,000 increase all total for the 4 positions?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And where does that fall
Meaning
into,
to our
Priorities.
$1.9 million deficit.
we're down to 1.9. It was 2 last week, 2 weeks ago.
1.2. Yeah, we haven't taken anything out from school,
No.
right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were looking at me.
No, so that's just looking at it without anything coming out of the school side or concessions on their part. So if we did come down, it's still 1.2. That was after us removing most of these positions that people have
These
asked
positions.
for.
Yes.
These
Yes.
positions,
Any new
police
positions.
asked for new positions, as you may recall. I think that was probably the bulk of it. The police program, DPW, Park Rec. I don't think there was very much else. And then
so we get down to the 1.2 by cutting those positions and then still have a
and we
1.2.
still have 1.2. That's where we're at. That's where we're at as of right now.
So we can ask again next year.
Yeah.
But if you can reduce the fuel budget, because you're not gonna spend it this year. 70,000, I don't know what that pays for.
Well, and we're
What's the
still
ideal?
looking-
Is for part of the 1.2.
Right. Yeah. So we're still looking at
Alright.
those fuel costs. We've gotten some fuel numbers for our heating fuel that's coming in better on at least halfway. We've got waiting on our final number for our health insurance.
John, I always hate asking this question because you wouldn't ask before if you didn't need 4. Does 1 help?
Yes.
Because there's some instances where one doesn't make a whole lot of difference if you're
No, it does.
depending on shifts and that type of thing. But
Totally.
when we're getting down to the wire, 1 does help.
Yes. Totally. It's a very good question.
Awesome.
You good?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much, John.
John, thank you for your time.
Eat the candy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great to see you.
See you all.
Just if anybody's wondering or wants this slideshow, it will be on our website tomorrow. So if anybody from the public wants to see it on their own, it will be up there.
Check out
Thank you.
what's the website?
AbingtonMA.gov/Department of Public Works.
Thank you, Kelly.
You're coming back on when with the CPA? Do we have that date?
I want to say the middle of March.
13th.
Not ju- oh, and by the way, the school wants to come on March 13th now.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
March 13th.
Yeah.
Okay. We can move things around.
Yeah, I mean, in light of today's discussion, they prefer to get here on the 13th.
What was today's discussion?
Does that give you enough time?
The deficit, as you can well
1.9 to
imagine.
1.8,
Yeah. Yeah, we're running out of time, but yeah,
Right,
it
no,
gives
but
us
I mean,
enough time.
Deciding the school is where you're gonna find the most, hopefully. I mean, they've got the biggest budget. So,
Yeah, they have decisions to make, and they have a lot of and
Which
what
is probably why they're looking for
Yeah, they
more
need-
time
they
to
need some
kind of
time.
go
but
over.
you need time to adjust
Yes.
based on their decision, or we need
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
Because
So
if they only come up
CPC is
with
coming
600,000, then we're gonna
the
find
13th.
600,000 somewhere else. Or $1.3 million, whatever it is.
Yes, we do.
Man, final budget vote next month.
When did we have them slated for?
Next week.
First.
And
First?
can we cut a happy medium and maybe ask for a 6?
No, actually, I asked them that, and we had
They
a
really
discussion. They needed till the 13th.
What do they need so much time for?
To find $1.2 million.
I mean,
Well-
it's a math equation,
That
you know
was-
what I mean? So, what do they need so much time for?
I'm
You
sure
don't-
they
they-
have-
I don't get into the intricacies of their
I-
budget, but they do have school committee that they would probably want to talk to, and I know they have finance committees. They have probably principals that they need to meet with and look at their programming overall.
Yeah, but Chris is right, right? If we get a week to sort of muster on something, or to figure out something, you're saying they're coming in on the 13th?
Yep.
And then we have to vote on the 20th? Yeah, so.
I'm gonna guess there'll be discussions with you between now and
I
then.
would imagine there'll probably be a lot of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you could be,
Yeah, if you
I'll
can give
update
us,
you
if you can give
as
us
we come, of
updates
course.
between
I
then and
think
now.
we're
Or-
pretty good at giving you guys information.
yeah.
Or if you could just tell them that we need it on the 6th. Right?
No,
Well, but no, because
they don't work
we-
for
The
me.
no,
CEO,
wasn't-
the CEO of the
They don't
town.
work for me.
You know?
No, they don't work for me. Look, I mean, they have their process that they have to go through. So, you know, we originally asked them to do it on the 28th or the 6th. The 13th works best for them.
And if we know they're not going to be ready, if you've asked it and you know they're
Yeah.
not gonna be ready until the 13th, it would be kind of pointless for us to have them come in on the 6th and have them tell us that they don't have all the information that
If the
we need.
CEO of a company tells somebody to be ready on a specific date and they're not, it's their
Yeah,
problem.
but we're not their boss.
He is.
No, he's not their boss.
So he's not the school boss.
No,
You don't
not
have
the school
anything to
boss.
do with the school.
School committee.
The school committee runs the
No, but
school.
hold on, sorry.
So the
Maybe
school
this is the
committee-
first time I've
School
noticed.
committee hires the superintendent, who is the
Correct.
head of
I
the
understand
school
they hire him,
district.
but the town
Doesn't
manager
work for me.
runs the school.
The people vote in the school committee members and
The
then
way
the
they
school
vote in
committee
the selectmen
members.
who hired Scott.
Got it. All right. Didn't know that. Well, if you could nudge them.
Separation.
I don't know any other way. I mean, I don't.
They're not doing it to be difficult,
No,
trust
they're
me.
very.
No, I know. No, I'm not. I'm just saying 1 week
No,
to
just
figure it out. If somebody comes in with, I mean, if we have to really figure out $600,000 in a week, it's not really a great.
Well,
situation.
hopefully when they do come in, we'll be in a good place,
Yeah,
and
better
hopefully
place.
we'll be in one before that.
Okay.
So-
You know, we're not done. We're, like I said, you know, we are refining numbers. We're waiting on healthcare numbers. If I could shop insurance around for other things, I would, but we're not going to get a better rate right now than Maya's given us. So, you know, we'll continue to work with everybody and see where we are.
So
Where's the joint commission, like, where's the joint resolution at, like, as far as,
I'm not anticipating anything coming out of the state better than what we've seen. And if it,
So
and if
two
it does,
weeks-
it'll be minimal.
2 weeks ago when we talked, the governor's budget looked bad for us, and we were holding out slim hope that the Congress would maybe
bump it a bit.
help it out a little bit, so we're not now thinking that that hope is slimmer than slim.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think if it was, and most likely it would only be in Chapter 70 funding, but that's a formula, and the formula is the formula, and how it works, nobody really knows.
Ridiculous formula.
But yeah, but it wasn't favorable to us
Never
this year. It was favorable to us last year. Actually, I mean, we had a nice bump last year, and we funded the
The
school.
formula
For everything
itself,
they needed, and the unfortunately, what we got this year didn't include a big bump again. There's nothing we can do about it.
Dan, you were gonna say something?
Aside from Chapter 70, what other monies come from the governor's budget for us?
That's the bulk of it.
Well, we get what's called unrestricted government aid, which is just I don't know how much we got on that this year. It was up less than 2% probably, but it's unrestricted government aid, which it's just revenue, general fund revenue.
So percentage-wise, the deficit that we're in,
It's not all, it's not because the state didn't give us enough money.
we do heavily rely though, on
It would have been probably, had we gotten an extra, I think we got an extra 1.2 in Chapter 70 last year, something to that effect. So yeah, if we got that same increase in Chapter 70, we wouldn't be having any of these conversations, except maybe, is there a way that we can get John a guy?
Position.
Right. Is there a way that we can work the police department back up? But it's not totally there. It's also other things that are on our side, that increasing fuel costs, increasing trash hauling costs, health insurance costs, those things going up at 5, 6, 7% year after year, especially the trash. So if those things keep going up, and we're having the conversation, which we always look at, but general government, just we went up 3% last year, and maybe less than that the year before. So we're trying to track and keep it low, but it's just outpacing revenue. We've had bad years or less than our new growth numbers. We had a year of a water moratorium, and nobody's putting in subdivisions. It's probably the worst time to be, for a builder right now. So we have projects that just aren't even happening that we'd love to see happen. So the new growth isn't there.
We were also counting on
The marijuana, right?
there you go.
The Cannabis Control Commission took half the money away from us. And finally, actually, out of the there's 4 places permitted. One has been open for quite a while. Second one is opening within weeks. He finally got final approval. Third one is waiting final approval, but it's all ready to go. Fourth one is moving along at an incredibly fast track. So
Which one is opening? Which one is waiting?
NAP, which is in the old bus depot, or where the buses are parked,
Yep.
they're opening. They got a sign about the size of my laptop.
Wait,
so-
but across the street from the one that's already open?
yeah. Well, the district's very small.
Yeah.
They don't have much of an option. And then right down where the Dungeons and Dragons place is. Is that what they
That's
call
right,
that?
That's right next to the bus.
Oh, you mean,
Right next door. Yeah, there's another one that's
Game
opening. The game store, yeah.
so I can see revenues
The,
on there?
Used to be CrossFit.
The Canna Barn?
And Cannon Barn is on 58.
Where are they at?
They're just waiting final. The place is all done. It looks great.
Looks they did
Very
a great
nice looking
job on
building.
The outside of the building.
Yeah. So they're waiting on the Cannabis Control Commission. And
That was the mattress place?
so I do expect all of them will be open. Now, the trends in the industry, I think sales are probably flat, if anything. I think they're probably, number-wise, the sales are better, but it's been pretty flooded, so the prices have come
definitely
down.
saturated the market.
Yeah.
We have
And-
all those places on 18 with the now Speedway,
The Speedway, right? And originally, we were to get an additional 3% of their sales, which Cannabis Control Commission took away. We no longer will see that. We will get 3% sales tax, which is great. If they're all doing business, but we don't anticipate a great, and we can't, without them being open, we can't bump our revenue to show anticipation of it. So if it does happen and we do end up picking up another $100,000, that'll just end up as free cash next year.
To help pay for snow and ice.
To help pay for snow and ice.
And we have no basis to try to claim a mitigation, correct?
No, it's,
Unfunded.
and any mitigation, it would have to be really specific towards that particular industry. And we've even looked at, and it's small numbers, it's small amounts of money if we sent the police department to training on, but wouldn't we want to send our police department to training on that anyways, would be the argument. Nothing's been tested. Cannabis Control Commission did not give us a list of stuff that would qualify. It's really just kind of a lot of unknowns with it right now.
What about electricity? I was on there today with Energy Switch, and you can get electricity for much cheaper than what our costs are for the community choice program that Abington has signed up for. Could we switch to something more affordable?
We buy our we get a ton of credits, right?
We are in a solar agreement that covers most of the town's electrical needs, and that's a long-term contract that we pay 80% of market rates already. So.
Okay. So it's distinct from whatever that community choice program.
Yeah,
is
that's
That's
just
more for residents than for town.
the town itself.
It's also there is a commercial component
Yeah.
but it's not municipal. We've actually done really well. I guess we've done well once we figure out how it works, but it took us a while. But there is a contract that was entered into before I think Rick had gotten into it. Is it a 30-year contract? It was a very long-term contract.
What was the number, chapter 70 that came up? Do you remember? Shit.
And then if we wanted to do something
That's what I was-
price-wise, who would have to implement that? Would it be the Board of Health, Selectmen, both, town meeting vote?
I mean, if we go to a pay, and it's something that we're going to have discussions on, but if we go to a
From
program,
our estimate.
a pay-as-you-go program, it will be partly selectmen and partly town meeting.
And I still think it would be really,
The way we
because
estimate
we've had an override.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to say, we paid to keep the trash the way that it
Well, they didn't pay
was.
much compared to what it costs now.
This was,
You paid,
at that
Yeah.
time, it was a lot to
I
people.
think it was a $500,000 override for something that's now costing $1.6 million.
Right, but so
I'll give them all the $500,000 back.
But
400K more.
what are other communities? Is anyone doing anything unconventional
Innovative.
or innovative to bring down the trash?
It's pay as you throw. There's the things that you can do that were innovative were encouraging recycling. There's no point in encouraging recycling anymore
No, because it's costing us more money than to get rid of our trash.
until it turns into a commodity again, and that's the biggest driver here. When they did that override, I think you were probably making money off the recycling still.
Yeah.
That's
It was,
gone. And it's not coming back anytime soon. So you want to look for a way to stop eating up the budget. You take that out. Again, redistribute it to the other departments and start. It's about $200 a unit, a household would be the fee per year. And when we did it in Whitman, it was put through, and it was you can opt out. You find somebody cheaper to come and take your trash. You can certainly contract with them.
But right now, don't you pay, what is it for the extra barrel? It's only like 75, right?
If you want an extra
I
barrel?
want an extra barrel. I think it was 75 for the barrel and 75 a year is 150 to buy in, from what I recall.
I'm not sure.
If you have an in-law apartment, then you pay 35 a year or something.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, that's why I did it.
For an extra barrel?
Yeah,
Um,
$150 for a year.
No, just.
Well,
75.
it's 200 for a year for 2 barrels. So, I mean, how much trash are you making?
so I have a question, and it's probably because I wasn't here 2 weeks ago and I missed that.
We didn't talk about it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, great.
You
So,
didn't miss anything.
so that we're in a deficit. Does that account for school at all, or we just don't know their number?
No, that's accounting for the school. That's putting the school number in there.
So my initial understanding of the conversation here was that Chapter 70 was the biggest issue, or the biggest reason behind it. But
It's not the Chapter 70, it's the increase in Chapter 70, so over last year.
But we estimated here initially that it was 17.2. I'm sorry. Yeah, so 14.1 million coming from Chapter 70 was our initial estimate, and the actual was 14.4.
Right.
Right.
But the school department requested about 1.9 million in increases, but we're only seeing an increase of about 300K.
Okay, so it was the school
that's-
department that was expecting more. I see. Okay, that makes sense.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there was belief based on the talk of what the governor's priorities were and what was going to be prioritized in the budget, that was something that was more reasonable to expect than what ended up happening.
Her initial message was that she was going to increase school aid by 4%. We got 2.
Yeah.
Less than 2.
Yeah, and in the same with the unrestricted general
1.8,
government.
right? Is it
There
1.8?
wasn't a huge increase in that where the discussions were putting more towards the communities and municipalities. Now, the state, they set their projections as they have a projections on what they expect to collect in revenue through taxes and everything else. They weren't hitting those projections, and that's what's led. First, we had the 9C cuts, which were pretty much harmless, but now we see this coming out in what they're looking to give to the cities and towns. The concern, or actually it's not a concern, it's just the aggravation on our end is we know that they're collecting good money through the gambling. We know they're collecting good money through the millionaire's tax, and they're sitting on an $8 million rainy day fund. Now, somebody out there said to me, well, look, you guys are sitting $8 billion rainy day. So, we're sitting on a $3.2 million one. I really don't want to touch it. And I'm guessing they probably have that same attitude. So,
Prudent not to touch it.
Right.
It makes sense.
yeah,
I know people don't.
so
think
we
of
don't
it.
expect, we don't
One-time
expect.
money for
and-
recurring expense is never gonna,
And from the
Unless
state's
there's-
perspective, it's even more prudent when they can just push the ball down the hill to us.
So that's where we're at. We're
do
not.
we have anything though, when you look at the budget that, could be paid with a one-time that is not a recurring?
We're looking at that stuff. So we're looking at taking some things. Again, the laptops, the textbooks. There are certain things that we could do that with. I don't know that we've seen anything in our budget side yet that would necessarily, most of our free cash on our side is for capital and one-time expenses anyways, and there's really not a lot on the town side to do that with. But the school is being really, they're doing their diligence and trying to find that stuff and trying to, I know they're looking at if they have retirements and what that'll save and not replacing
Offsets.
positions and offsets. So, again, I think that they were hopeful on Chapter 70 as much as we were, and we'll just continue to work. We're going to meet with them every day, or not every day, but every week, and we'll relay the information to you as I get it.
I'd say we weren't hopeful. We were pretty spot on with whoever made this estimate for Chapter 70. I don't know if that was
It was Andrew.
Was it? Was it some kind of formula?
Andrew's ever the pessimist.
He just like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, our estimates start pessimistically, and then we hope to be optimistically surprised.
Yeah.
That's how we generate free cash.
And it's how we get ourselves and keep ourselves in a solid fiscal state year to year. Is don't overestimate, and that's, I think, part of the problem where the state is right now is they vastly overestimated what state revenues were going to be this year, and they're missing all of their projections. Even though their revenues are up and are record revenues, they're not as record as they expected them.
Well, and then they, implemented a tax cut,
Yeah.
and they have a migrant housing crisis.
Where was this tax cut?
The state.
Not for you. Not for you.
Not, definitely not for you. Anybody who can afford to name a town after their company, sorry. I don't know what's going to cost us to change the stationery.
Could you just tell me what tax cut it was?
Oh, we all got money last year. They all sent us money.
I'm definitely gonna need
Some
to
money
know
back
that.
last year.
Yeah, everybody got their money back, that's right. They took in too much money.
Yeah. But that was a law. They had to send it back.
They didn't want to. It took them a long time to figure it out.
So, next update next week.
Yeah. So who do we have up next week anyway?
We don't know.
Now that-
And now that we've moved out
Yeah,
the schools, we
Yeah, I guess you can bump me up there and be an all knee show.
Would CPC be ready next week? They
I
don't.
can check with them.
They don't affect us too much
No, but
because it's their own budget, so wouldn't be a bad week to have them come in. Either next week or the 6th if the schools aren't ready for the 6th, which we're not expecting them to be.
Always better to have school by themselves.
Yes.
And
I'll check.
I guess we just talked about revenues, but is there any more discussion about revenue? Or,
I mean, they are what they are. Once we get a budget update put together, I'll release it. I'll put it on this OneNote.
What about like any local tax increases, like meals or anything like that? Do we have the discretion to do that? Or do we need special legislation?
The governor's actually putting that forward as part of her municipal modernization bill. There's a few things in there. It wasn't a huge percentage that we could bump it. Maybe it was like 0.5% or.
And it was hard on the restaurants, especially coming off of COVID. I think that could.
I don't know what's our meals tax revenue anyways. I think if we look at it, it's probably not a
I was going
significant
to say 300,000 or
amount.
400,000.
Yeah.
How much, 400?
300,000 or 400,000, somewhere in that range. Somewhere in that range.
I mean, I know every little bit helps, but again, it's putting a burden on restaurants, and it's increasing a tax. So
Yeah.
one way or
It's
another,
discouraging people from eating out in
having-
Abington,
yeah.
which we don't want to do.
if we had a whole row of Wendy's and Arby's and McDonald's and everything else up and down the road.
To go to one of John's slides earlier that had somebody else at the top of the list. If we were Danvers with malls and restaurants all
different
over
story.
the place, that's a different thing to
Chain
tax.
restaurants,
We have
most of the restaurants that we
we
had
have a lot
are
of local businesses
Yeah.
here. So.
small business
we
restaurants.
can have
and
a
things.
program that encourage residents to eat at Abington restaurants,
There you go.
raise our revenue.
Right?
Good idea.
Yeah, I don't see anything. We did a review of pretty much all of the departments did reviews of their fees. I think last year we went up on the building fees, so we saw fairly good increase there, but nothing.
I know we usually try to be conservative on the revenues, and rightly so, but it's just.
I think
there's a
we're,
place that you can say, oh, maybe,
our estimates now, we have pushed them to as far as that we're comfortable with. And, because two things that'll happen there.
yes, oh yeah.
And elimination of free cash isn't something that would kill any road programs that we do have, so. So we'll keep working. Plugging away.
All right, we do not have minutes. Liaison reports, anyone? Chris? No. Okay. There is no correspondence again. We haven't gotten mail in a while.
Just that email.
And then discussion on our next meeting. We've got the schedule up on the very big board in front of us. So next week, February 28th, not the last day of February this year.
No.
We'll have the town manager's department. We'll hope to have community preservation. We will meet again on March 6th. Then March 13th is when we are looking to have the schools in. And I think probably the next 2 weeks where it's mostly going to be budget discussions and lighter, we should probably start going over warrant articles. Will we have the warrant?
I can send you guys, I'll send out a draft. I gotta clean it up a little bit more. It's not a lot on here. Typical stuff, snow and ice, prior year bills, sick leave buyback, operating budget, capital plan.
Zoning.
Every time they say there's not a lot on here, and then we get the warrant articles, and it's
And
like
it's 30 pages
25
Well, it
articles
is.
with part A, B, C, D.
Well, there is see, I don't think that's a lot. 25 articles is what we have, but I think if it was like 40 articles, I think it would be awful. But
I'm just saying.
Is there stuff we can,
We
are
have
we allowed
the-
to vote on some of the
MBTA.
zoning
Yeah,
stuff?
that's what I'm
Should
thinking
try.
is the next 2 weeks get especially the less financial or the non-financial stuff out of the way so that we're really focused in the last couple of minutes on the budget.
Kelly Johnson had just sent me today the community preservation stuff, so I have a placeholder in there for that. So I'll update those numbers. And I think there may be a few placeholders in here, but for the most part, I got numbers on everything. I think the other interesting, there's two articles that we have. One to fund, as you know, Chief Glenn talked about needing a new engine. So there's a borrowing article, or it's actually one of the, it has everything in there, transfer funds, borrow, lease,
However
buy,
we're gonna do
pay.
it, yeah.
There's one of those in there for $900,000 for that. We also came upon our gas island at the DPW facility. It's an underground tank. They were trying to build around it for the project. Maya kind of read there, our insurance carrier said, hey, that's
yeah.
pretty old. You better just
Me
move
too,
it.
yeah.
So there's an article for $1.2 million for that.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it turns out it's actually, if we move it, it works out better. So, we just should do it. I do have you'll see a placeholder in here to establish a residential waste pickup and hauling enterprise fund. Should we decide to go that route? Town charter. I'm not sure how that town charter is going to go.
I don't think we're going to vote on that one next week.
Just telling you what's in here.
The gas tank thing?
No.
Nip bands.
No, but the gas tank thing, we can't roll that into the project.
I was wondering the same thing.
You can talk about that next week.
You said the charter is going to be on.
The charter, yeah, so
Charter.
and I'm not sure, I got a placeholder for the charter, but I think that they did forward to, I don't know if they
Yeah.
forwarded to everybody, so I'm just not sure how that shows up in there, whether it's just one line lump item or if it's a menu of items. Kind of waiting to hear back from Charter Review on how that'll look and how we'll deal with it. It could be part A through, we could be up to
F,
40 by now.
Z.
There's I think I mentioned this article for banning the nips, and
Yeah.
that's it.
You make Greg upset.
It's just,
I mean, I pick them up too, but I don't like banning things.
Are you, yeah, well, I was just, are you gonna do any, community,
where does it stop?
informational?
We'll do all the
about-
stuff we
yeah,
usually do,
yeah.
but we'll have little Instagrams and Facebooks and Abcam and
Yeah.
do all sorts of stuff. I don't think anybody's like wholeheartedly supporting the nip ban, to be quite honest with you. I think that the Board of Health was asked by enough people though that they just felt as though they should put it out there. I didn't get, I haven't got the sense that there's a group.
Opposing it.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
seeing
what I
that,
wanted to say.
which was funny because when they did it in Plymouth, they had signs all over Plymouth, and they were like either yes or no. And it turned out like if you were a yes sign, that meant you didn't want them, and if you were a no sign, you did want them. Or I really never figured it out, but didn't have to vote there anyways. Whitman did it. I don't think it passed in Whitman. So if you do see them after we ban them, they're probably coming from Whitman.
I was gonna say, not selling them here does not mean that people
Right,
here
right.
will have them and throw them
Who,
on
yeah, and who
the,
decides
throw them on the
about
roads and public
the
property.
deposit on the bottles?
I believe that would be a state. If the whole state's
Yeah.
not doing it, it's not going to work. So I mean, it's like the state did it for everything else. They could do it.
Like, why wouldn't they?
I don't know.
Well.
We can ask Allison and
Right.
Senator Keenan. They will be here Monday night. Anybody cares to come down, say hello. Ask them, if they could help support us for more money for Chapter 70. We greatly appreciate it.
And maybe they could do that by instituting a bottle deposit.
Right? That's how we could finance it.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Right?
Get rid of the nips. Nobody's gonna throw out nips if they're worth,
Do NIPS have a deposit on them?
No,
No?
right?
Why
Isn't that
not?
crazy?
That's what you should do.
Right?
it's not up to me.
You know,
Despite what he
Scott,
says, I don't have
Why,
that kind of
why haven't you done that
I,
yet?
I learned something today that I really had no idea. So I don't know how I didn't know that for 5 years.
I tried to tell you that when you were complaining about something else to do with the school once.
So they
Wish- I
charge
wish you had pulled me
25 cents
aside.
more
That
for
would've
a
helped.
nip,
I-
which,
I'm thinking they're like just being like, no, it's you. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Like, it's not even a,
Yeah, I'm not actually that easygoing. If I had the power, I'd do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really just, it's like the cans of bottles, soda bottles, beer bottles, that sort of.
very, very specific bottles
Yeah.
actually have
But, I mean, for faced with
deposit.
increasing trash,
right,
recycling
we should
costs,
be,
yeah. Would be a way to look at reducing.
because I'm sure those are really expensive, wine bottles are heavy to, be disposing of, recycling, or whatever you're doing, whether you're
nobody-
paying, but when you're paying by the
nobody
ton
wants
for
glass
trash.
anymore.
Right, but and you're paying by the ton for trash, maybe if we're getting a bottle deposit on some of that stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to see. Imagine there's a lot of weight going into our dumpsters from wine bottles.
So just to complete it, 13th we got the schools. We'll continue budget discussions each week. The 20th we will need our final recommendations. April 1st is town meeting. April 1st.
April 1st.
And it's not a joke.
wait, what's April 1st?
Town meeting. So,
I'm just throw this out there. If we need another meeting between the 13th and the 20th, because we're we're
So,
Should we start to think now about another night that we could fit in, that would work for enough of us to vote if we needed to? Or do you wanna wait?
Worst case scenario, couldn't we, I'm completely against this in normal life, but for something like this, couldn't we just Zoom it? If we needed to vote for something
I
and we
believe we
hadn't
had-
already.
Yeah,
That's-
the hybrid, we'd have to open it up to everybody, to the,
100%, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
you'd
if
still have
it
to
turns
post
up to one of
for
those
it.
things where we're trying to
yeah,
be
we
here
still
for a half hour to
We
just.
still need 2 days notice.
Yeah, I got
to,
you.
Yeah.
to post the
We
meeting.
should schedule it, and if we don't have it, we don't have it.
If you're voting on Zoom, you have to wear a mask.
I think most people would prefer it for me.
But just to have a tentative idea of, kind of like an
Actually,
umbrella one.
Yeah.
Meetings where people.
Bringing an umbrella when you don't need it.
Yeah. Better to have and not need.
Do we want to tentatively schedule one for the 19th, Tuesday before the 20th? So we would have back-to-back days. It'd be 2 tough days, but
Why not the 27th? Is that too late?
that's too late for
So-
recommendations.
yeah, we have to get your recommendations.
20th is essentially when we have to have a one way or another vote on each article. And just to point out for everybody here, for everyone watching, we do have the ability to reopen our votes on warrant articles and change our recommendations right up until the meeting before town meeting. But we do have to have published recommendations from the finance committee. I believe it's 10 days before.
Yeah, I had the 22nd as the date, so.
I could do the 19th if necessary, if it becomes necessary.
Anybody that's not good for?
I don't think I can.
I won't be around.
Is Tuesday generally good or bad for people?
Tuesday's bad for me.
Tuesday's generally bad for me, but I can make that one happen if necessary.
What's the date we're talking about here?
Tuesday
March
the
19th. What about Monday the 18th?
Yeah, the 19th, I'm not back until 6 o'clock in Boston.
Monday would be better for me.
I can do either.
Either Greg, Monday or Tuesday? Preference?
Of March?
Yes. Or in general, Monday or Tuesday?
No, I mean,
Andrew, you said Tuesday's bad,
Tuesday's bad,
Monday
yeah.
better?
Monday, is that Monday the
The-
basketball banquet?
Might be. That might be. Shoot.
This month, the 18th.
Yeah. Yeah, Monday's the basketball banquet.
And we wouldn't be able to use this, well, when's the selectmen's meeting?
The 11th and 25th.
Okay.
Just as a note, our March 6th meeting will be down the hall. Planning board will be in here that night with a potential of up to 50 people.
I hate that one.
there's 50 people that are going to be in a meeting.
Potential of up to 50 people. They have to account for the possibility that as many as 50 people will show up for theirs.
We would have.
That's what I was told.
Okay.
So,
If 50 people. Wait,
and they would
Not
need,
for our meeting.
they would need
Just any
I think
meeting.
it's
they would
planning,
need more chairs. But
Yeah, all right.
they'd figure it out.
All right.
I
If
think
the
I've
Tuesday
seen
was at a
this room
different
have that
time.
many people in it.
15?
I can make it work if necessary. I have a standing commitment on
If the
Tuesdays.
Tuesday was
but I
every
could
I
different
arrange.
have class at night, but otherwise, you guys can meet at that one, it's fine.
I can't even
Tuesday
Zoom.
doesn't.
I'll be in a plane.
You?
That's,
You don't Zoom on planes?
You got free Wi-Fi.
I
You flying
know.
JetBlue?
It never works.
No, I don't.
I never
Okay, so
works.
right now it looks like we would have enough people.
He's on the wrong airline.
Tuesday.
Right, Chris, come on.
So,
Fred's airline does
You
not. have-
can't die with it all.
and possibly Marty. So,
You could have been a member by then too, so.
anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten an update on that. I'll check with Sean.
That would be
I was gonna say.
by fire though.
I don't know a new member at this point.
A new member jumping in right now would be rough.
Yeah, it would be
Really?
tough.
Yeah, I made that recommendation. He never replied.
Yeah, I haven't gotten anything from him
No.
since either, so. But yeah, that would be, this would be a really tough time to jump in,
Yeah,
unless they've been watching all the meetings.
Yeah, it goes well.
any of our large following.
Yes. That's larger than I expect, always.
Somebody stopped me at Lowe's.
We recognize you.
Was he working there?
I don't know. No.
Because I had a Lowe's employee, I was looking for something like months back, maybe last summer. And he was like, oh, can you get the town to cover the cost of this wrench? I'm like, what? It's like, I watch you on the finance committee meetings. I'm like, okay, nice.
That's
So it's more people than you
Glad
expect.
people are interested.
More people than you expect that are watching, so.
That's good to hear.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
Okay. Motion
Nope,
and a
Matt had
second.
something
Any discussion?
She beat me out last week.
Out further discussion, we are adjourned. Oh, sorry. All those in favor of adjourning?
aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we are adjourned.